Honorable Minister, fellow presidents, authorities, ladies and gentlemen, let me first start giving my thought to all those that during this last 2 years we lost. I think it is appropriate to give a thought to the million of people that has suffered, them because they passed away, and their families and friends because they, as we, lost them. It is my honor addressing you today and in person, which is a most welcome change. Many of us who in the distant past were used to gathering together frequently are meeting up face to face this week for the first time in 2 years. Many thanks to Joram Devash, President of the World Federation of Diamond Bourses, and to Ronnie van der Linden, President of IDMA, for their determination in making the meeting happen. And thanks to Ahmed bin Sulayem and Martin Lee, and their teams, of course, at the Dubai Exchange and the DMCC for organizing and hosting the event. This has been a remarkable week in a remarkable industry centers, which hopefully signals a return to a more normal state of normal. But let us not deceive ourselves. The fact that we seem to have returned to a social environment that is familiar to us does not mean that the experience of the past 2 years is in any way diminished. The COVID pandemic, and here I refer not to the health crisis, but rather to the economic, social, and technological changes that is triggered, represent a transformative experience that almost certainly is more fundamental than any in recent memory. The world, as we knew it in 2019, is markedly different to one that we are now living in 2022. And it will take real tough effort and planning to ensure that we continue to grow, prosper, and enjoy success. Please don't misunderstand me. I am not forecasting doom and gloom, but I am saying that this is not a time to be afraid of change. Successfully for surviving, evolution requires that you adapt to your changing environment. Charles Darwin taught us that. Historically, evolutionary processes are slow, but they were accelerated in 2020 and 21, meaning that our period of adjustment became considerably shorter. Economically, we have thought the past 2 years in relatively good shape. The recently published report by Bain and the AWDC described it as a brilliant recovery. How does one explain the resilience of the jewelry market during the COVID period? The pandemic struck when the world's two largest economies, the United States and China, were generally sound. Thus, while initially there were almost complete halts in the economic activity during the first and second quarter of 2020, when business began picking up after the lockdown, the markets were primed. Accordingly to a study recently published by Deloitte in the United States, the pandemic sparked a remarkable change in consumer demand. Spending our durable consumer goods rose sharply, while spending on service was down. Products like jewelry substitute for restaurants, entertainment, and travel. That was not only positive impact of the crisis on the jewelry sector. Another critical one was the decision by the Indian diamond industry quite early during the second quarter of 2020 to declare a moratorium on rough diamond imports during a period in which most of its cutting plants were lying idle. The result of the Indian action was that the demand pipeline, which before the onset of the crisis was experiencing a quite substantial overhang of rough goods, managed to clear out the surplus supply, assisted in no small part by the major mining companies, which either suspended sales activity and, in some cases, production as well. But is the positive situation sustainable? Some of the relative advantage that we have enjoyed over the past 2 years will almost certainly begin to erode as particular service sector, and most notably travel and tourism, begin to pick up again. According to Deloitte's study I mentioned, over the next few years, the market share of the durable products like jewelry will slowly fall, while consumers increase to share their income going to services. On the plus side, COVID-19 accelerated the transformation that was already underway in the jewelry wholesale and retail, increased omni-channel marketing, personalization, greater e-commerce sales, and better inventory management. Transforming ourselves, however, takes commitment and also a readiness to invest in knowledge and qualified personnel. Gone are the days that the start of a successful career in our business required not much than the time at the polishing wheel or the jeweler's bench. Now, I do not suggest that in-depth understanding of our manufacturing process is not important, but so too is an understanding of digital trading, big data, blockchain, artificial intelligence, and the metaverse. Parents used to teach their children the skill of our trade. Today, the educational process needs to be bidirectional, and older and young among us have to be ready to embrace new ideas. These are discussions that I trust that you will having among yourself. The concept of a diamond exchange, for example, where a critical mass of inventory can be aggregated in a single space, definitely remain relevant to the world in which we live. But space is not likely to be physical, but rather digital. In the institution that we have led our industry are to remain relevant. They will need to adapt and change their rules and practices accordingly. As I said, this is what Charles Darwin taught us. I am confident that great opportunity exists in our post-COVID world, but so do risks, which are magnified if we are reluctant to be bold. I am personally looking at a great and brilliant future together, and being part of this industry with the different organizations such as WFDB, IDMA, RJC, WDC, and all the others has been personally for me not only very inspiring, but I am more than honored and delighted to be part of the industry with all of you, and I look forward to have much closer cooperation, even though we are cooperating strongly together, in order to let us, and more than us, our children and the generation to come, to be happy, flourish, and expand. Thank you very much.